So this week, week 2, we are looking at systems of equations and inequalities. And so I found this little meme. I don't always solve equations correctly, but when I do, it's because I've checked my answer. Because you can find out whether you did it right by checking your answer. Systems of equations are something that you saw in college algebra. It was covered the very last week of class. So this should be some review, and then there's going to be some new things as well. So I'm going to start off by answering some frequently asked questions that I've gotten, and then go into this week's material, what your tasks are for the week, details on the discussion, the assignments, the quizzes, and then the suggested schedule. So the 3 biggest questions I've gotten so far is one about resubmitting. Can I resubmit my work? And the answer is yes, but that is only the application assignment. So, well, the self-assessments can be resubmitted, but that's because you have 4 attempts. So it's a little different than resubmission. But you can't redo discussions and you can't redo the journal entries. There really is no reason to redo a journal entry unless I specifically told you that you need to write it, maybe if you didn't write it on what you were supposed to write it on. But generally the resubmissions are for the application assignments only. The other question I've been getting a lot is, do I have to type up my assignments? And the answer is no. You can also submit your work via JPEG or PDF. I do prefer PDF. Please take a look at the course expectations link. It's on the left side of the class, and that will give you specific details on how to convert your pictures to PDF. And making sure things are in order and all that. And then the last thing was, how does Remind work? So there are a lot of people who are signed up for Remind. That's the thing that you see when you log in the class. So basically any announcements that I send out will have the header MA141 October 2019. If I send you a message individually, it will either say that it's coming from me, my name, or that header will, and that header's not there. There won't be a header at all, basically. I've tested this out because I have it sent to my phone and via texts. So that's how you can tell whether I've sent something that's going to everybody or if it's just to you. Most of the time I'm going to be sending things to everybody. But if you send me a message, then I will be replying just to you. So when you reply, your replies are coming just to me, not to everybody in the class, and then I can reply back to you. And then those are just one-to-one messages. So those are the 3 biggest questions, most asked questions that I've had so far. As more come up, then I will address those. So moving on to this week's material, you have 3 sections. 7.1, which is linear and nonlinear systems of equations. 7.2, which is 2 variable linear systems. And 7.3, which is multivariable linear systems. So you've looked at 2 variable linear systems in college algebra and a little bit in nonlinear. The multivariable is going to be the more complicated things, and you haven't really looked at that, and that's what my live session is going to be on this week. I have the live session scheduled for Sunday at 1 p.m. That was a popular time when I looked at the survey and I was scheduling that out. So that is Sunday at 1 p.m. I'll be going over section 7.3. So moving on to your tasks for the week. So you have 4 things. Again, you have your discussion, the self-assessment, the application assignment, and the journal. So this is standard, except for weeks 4 and 8, where you'll have 5 things to do for each week. So you want to make sure that you keep track of everything you need to do. So the discussion this week, I actually really enjoy this discussion. So for your main post, you need to tell us which method of solving a system you prefer and why. So in the readings this week, you're going to learn how to solve by graphing, solving by substitution, and solving by elimination. And so you're going to learn 3 different ways to do it, and so you can talk about which one you like and why. Is it because you find something wrong with the other methods? You know, is there something about those other ones that you don't like and that's why you prefer something? Using an example to show your method is really helpful. Or if you have an example of why one method is harder and you say this is why this method is harder, and then you show an example, that's really good. So I like this discussion because it's fun for me to see which of the various methods we learn people prefer. That's one reason why we teach different ways to solve, is because not everybody likes to do it the same way. And I like to make a graph and make a pie chart of the data to see what's the most popular method for the class. I always find that really interesting, and then I compare it with previous classes. When you reply, you need to respond to at least 2 others who choose a method different from yours. So don't reply to somebody that has chosen the same method. Well, you can, but you want to have at least 2 others that are different, because that's where we want to have some actual discussion. So you're basically going to do a little debate on why you think your method is better than the one they chose. Or maybe their reasons are so good you've been converted. So the discussion this week is fun. I have a fun time with this one. So it should be pretty easy for people. It's based, there's no right or wrong answer, basically. I personally use multiple methods. I don't use only one method. So that's the discussion for this week. I think that one will go just fine for people. So moving on to the assignments. So your week 2 assignment is 5 problems again. You need to show all of your work. It's graded according to the number of steps, so you can lose points for incorrect or missing steps. 5% penalty for each resubmission. I'm grabbing the assignment, taking a look at it right now. This particular assignment, you want to make sure that you are showing all of your work and answering all of the questions, because a lot of people miss parts of the assignment. So there's usually people miss things in problem 2, or they give the answer but they don't explain what the answer means. When you're solving word problems, you can't just say x equals 2, because I don't know what your variable x represents, especially because with systems of equations you're finding an x and a y. So I need to know which of the answers is answering the question that's asked. So you need to make sure that you give your final answers as a sentence, so that I actually know what your final answer is and what it means in context. Question 4 is particularly tricky. So I do have in the classroom, there is a video, it's in the live session, the instructor videos link for week 2 on modeling with systems of equations. And so I go through an example similar to problem 4 on there. So before you attempt 4, I would definitely watch that video, because most people do problem 4 wrong, and that video will explain to you how to tackle a problem like that, because it is quite difficult. And then problem 5, you have 3 different parts. Make sure you show your work. The other thing on the application assignment is that since these are about systems of equations, you need to make sure you give me the system for each question. Because the systems are not given to you, the equations are not given to you. So you need to write down those equations in a system before you start working them. That's part of the communication process. So I am going to be looking for that when I am grading your assignments. I'm going to be looking for the systems. I'm going to be looking for the work that you've answered all of the questions. You're using the right notation, because notation is important for communication. And then that you're answering, each answer to like the problem is as a sentence, so that you're explaining your answer essentially. So so that's what I'm looking for on the week 2 assignment. Just as a reminder, so I mentioned this in the slide with the frequently asked questions, but yes, I do submit or allow photos and scans. Just make sure that they're readable, that they're a single file, because it makes it 10 times easier for me to grade. Everything's in order, because if I have to start scrolling and kind of looking at different files to figure out where everything is, it's very time consuming, and so it makes things harder for me. So try to make things as easy as possible for me to grade. If you don't follow these requirements, you'll get a score of 2 and you will need to resubmit so that I can actually grade it. Oops, that's supposed to say week 2 reflection journal. Forgot to update that slide. Let me get my pen out. week 2 reflection journal. So just like the week 1 reflection journal, this is about your problem solving process on the application assignment. So it's not a reflection on the week overall, it's on the assignment specifically. And so you want to talk about the things that you struggled with, what helped you figure things out, if you got help, what that help was, where you found it, all of that. It's sort of it's going through your thought process. The whole point of reflecting on your thought process is something that's called metacognition. And being aware of how you think and how you do things and where you're struggled is actually a great skill for critical thinking, problem solving. You can kind of analyze, oh, that thought process doesn't work for me. So this metacognition skill actually shows that if you get good at this, you're better moving forward, you're more successful. So this is one of the skills you're kind of learning by doing these reflection journals. So the grading is based off of the length because it's a 250 word minimum, and there's no wrong way to do a reflection journal unless you didn't actually do the reflect on the problem solving process of the application assignment. So, you know, if you didn't reflect on what you're supposed to reflect, you'd lose some points. Otherwise, the only other way you would lose points is just if it's not meeting the minimum word length. And you do need to submit this as a Word document, not as something in the comment box. This way I can actually leave notes on your journal, answer questions you have, provide additional details. I do read them all. So it's not just like I'm just great at not reading it. I do read your reflection journals. Okay, so moving on to the self-assessment. So you guys have seen how the self-assessment works. Week 1 was the only one that had a question that I actually have to manually grade, which I will be doing today. But the week 2 self-assessment is completely multiple choice, so you will get instant feedback. It is 12 questions, just like the week 1 self-assessment. You have 4 attempts. Your highest score is saved, and it's covering stuff from week 2. So this gives you an idea if you understand what the stuff is for week 2. It's a good idea to, if you really want to see where you stand, you can do the self-assessment before you start going through the material just to see what you know. And then once you've done that, go back through the material and then take the self-assessment again. So since you have 4 attempts, that's a good way to see what you need to focus on and what you might need to study. And then lastly, the suggested schedule. So I'm going to zoom in on this. So, okay. So you are welcome to read and reply to classmates, even on discussions that have closed. So the week 1 discussion, you can still read and reply and keep that conversation going. So I would encourage you, if people have replied to you, to continually respond if you have something to say. Since we have 3 sections, you can basically do a section a day, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And then if you do that, then by Sunday, you'll have gone through all the different types of solving, and you'll be in a good position to have an opinion on which method you prefer. So you can do that by Sunday. The success organizers, those are the guided note-taking that's found on the textbook's website. And then there are videos. Those videos are also on the textbook's website. So if you click on the video, then you can find your way to the success organizer. There's some practice interactive exercises, some more videos. And then because there aren't any set practice problems, I have picked out some from the Chapter 7 review for each section. So they're roughly 10 to 20 problems, and they're actually odds, so that's cut that in half. So like 1 to 10 odds, that's going to be 11 problems. So there's not like there's a lot of problems, but enough to kind of give you enough practice. And of course, you don't have to do them all. You can just do a few until you feel comfortable. And then I've kind of worked out the application assignment here. So the first 3 you can do after going through 7.2 because those are 2 variables. And then on the assignment, 4 and 5 are 3 variable systems, and so you're not going to want to work through those until you've gone through section 7.3. And then write your journal as you go through there, and then you can finish it up the next day, take the self-assessment again, and if you want to resubmit any work from like the week 1, once I finish grading it, you can take some time to do that as well. So that's sort of how I've envisioned this week and this schedule. Are there any questions? All right, I'll take that as a good sign. The silence means there's no questions. I don't see anything being typed up. So I'm going to try to get this posted as soon as possible, send it out via Remind and have it in the classroom, put it in the weekly content so that everybody can watch this and make sure they have the expectations and they know what they need to do. And then hopefully I will see you guys Sunday at 1 p.m. for 7.3. If not, of course, you'll have the recording. So, all right, I hope you guys are having a great Wednesday. Have a great rest of your day. I'm going to try to do an evening one next week, Wednesday. I need to get that all set up, but I do want to make sure that there's a chance for having some evening introductions as well. So that's my goal for next week. So, all right. Well, you guys, I will talk to you later. Bye.